Hey everybody, uglyShader here with another YouTube tutorial video, and as you've probably guessed by the title, we're going to be making our own, or customizing I guess, our sculpting brushes that we have available. We're going to be applying masks to them so that they only show, or I guess they only manipulate the mesh in certain areas or in certain ways that we want. This came up because I was talking to a few people and some of them didn't know how to mask a brush for sculpting in Blender, and a few others knew that they could but wanted to use their own images and didn't use any image editing software. Like, they don't know how to use Photoshop or don't have Photoshop, they haven't taken the time to learn GIMP or something like that, and they were just wanting to, basically keep all of their workflow in Blender. So I figured out, or I'm putting together this tutorial real quick just to give an example of how easy it is to mask a brush for sculpting, as well as ways that you can create those masks from within Blender in case you don't use any other image editing software or anything like that. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, let me, wrong menu. Open this up and turn on some screencast keys so you guys can see what I'm doing. Oh, good. Nice big letters. Alright, get rid of that again. Now we're going to squeeze this down and switch this one over to our UV image editor. Oh, we're actually already on our UV image editor. I'm just not paying enough attention. Alright, so we're going to use an image as the mask for our brush. So let's just go ahead and create a new image. And I have quite a few subdivisions on this plane. I mean, there's 40,000 vertices, 40,000 plus vertices on it. So I might as well make this a decently high quality image. So I'll go 2048 by 2048. Why not? And for its color, we want to leave it at black, because the way this is going to work is our image is going to represent numbers anywhere between this 0 to 1 value that the strength has, where black will represent 0 and white will represent 1. So for the base image, we want it to be nice and black. Oops, I'm hitting extra keys and not actually changing things where I want. There we go. So yeah, for the base color, we'll just go ahead and leave it at black. And zoom out now. And alright, so here is our image. And what we want to do is we want to draw on it with white, where we want it to have an effect on the brush, or where we want the brush to actually work. So let's give this a name real quick, and I'm going to call it Cracks 001, because I'm just going to paint on some really ugly cracks real fast. So here in our UV image editor, where we have this view option, we're going to click on that and switch it over to paint. And now I have my paint brush. As far as size adjustment, the strength adjustment, it's, just painting. I don't know if you've used Blender Paint yet, but it's just in a sense, a rather simple paint setup going on in here for the texture painting. So I'm just going to make my brush really small, and that's F for the hotkey on the size adjustment of my brush. And you might notice the slider, this slider over here, for the radius actually moving up and down. The size of your brush is linked. So if I make it all big here and then I come back over to here to go sculpting, as you can see, I got a huge brush. And it's just because I made it massive over here. They're linked together. Anyway, I'm going to go all nice and tiny and give it a really, full strength, strength of 1. And then I'm just going to draw a crack on here. Not a very good crack, not very jagged or anything like that, but there's a line, and let's bring some off of here, another one off of there for just a little part of that crack, kind of a longer one there, one up here that kind of comes up and then reattaches, why not? Here's another one out of that point, kind of like something landed on it right here. That's where all this cracking came from, the center of the impact that caused the cracks, whatever. Something off of there, and why not something off of there. So there we go, we got a crack, or whatnot. We have made ourselves a crack. So I'm going to go ahead and save this real fast, save as, and I'll just save it to the desktop real quick. Okay, now that that's saved, and I don't know if you noticed, but before I clicked on that and saved it, there was actually a little star here next to the image. Anytime we make any kind of a change to our image, it pops a little star up there to let us know that this has been modified and not yet saved. And at various points, depending upon what you're doing, that's kind of important. So yeah, if you see that little star there and you're getting ready to use this image somewhere else in Blender, it might be a worthwhile idea to go ahead and just save that somewhere. Anyhow, now that I got that saved, we'll come up here to our Properties window and over to the Textures section. And right now it's currently set as Brush. I want to go ahead and switch this to Brush Mask and then select New. And all I have to do is select this Cracks 001 we just created, and now we have that set up as a brush mask. So if I come back over here, and as you see, as I adjust this, you see its representative strength. Where it gets darker, we'll have more strength. Where it gets lighter, we'll have less strength. So if I come over to here in our brush options, and under the texture option, I just click on here and select that new brush mask texture we created. It doesn't have the name of Cracks, but I could give it that name if I wanted, but we can clearly see that's the texture we want. Now as I come over here and adjust my size, you can see it's actually representing the cracks I wrote or drew with the white in black, telling us that that's where it's going to affect the mesh. So let's Control Z that, hold Control down to invert it, and there we go. I mean, it's kind of jaggy. I don't have a lot of subdivision going on, and when you look at that all scaled up, it's pretty pixelated. I mean, I could put more time into it, make it a bigger image, so on and so forth, you know, like a 4096 by 4096 image to help that resolution a little bit and stuff. But yeah, that's the fast, super simple, easy way to just customize a brush. And that masking applies itself over the original effect of the brush. So if we go ahead and let's get rid of that, and then let's get rid of our mask real fast and just make kind of a large lump here in our plane. Now I go to the rotate brush and it just twists it up. You know, we get our rotation. However, if I put that cracks mask on our rotation brush, now it's only rotating where the cracks are, which of course gives us horrible effect or whatnot, which we'd probably never want to use or anything like that. But again, it's masking the rotation brush to only have an effect where the strength is turned up. And as far as it's concerned, the strength is turned up where it's darkened, or on the original image where it's white. Black equals 0, white equals 1. So yeah, that's the fast, easy way to get your effect, your customization or masking effect on any of the Blender sculpting brushes. Now, when it comes to that whole wanting to use one of your own images for it, that's no big deal at all. Let's get out of full screen on that. Okay, the first thing is we pick our image, and lucky for us, I already have one that I've picked out, I guess, or maybe not lucky for us. Maybe it'd be more fun if I just went after a random image. But I already have an image picked out, and it's this right here. Maybe. Oh, come on, I know you can load that picture. It's not that high quality of an image. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I was going to say it's because it's a tutorial video. Anyway, so yeah, there's our image, and it's some leaves, kind of like some fir or some pine leaves or something like that, but they're green. And since the whole black to white represents the 0 to 1 scale, where's green fall in? You know, how much strength does green have? I don't even want to have to figure it out. So we're just going to make this image black and white, and we can do that in Blender pretty easily. So let's get back to our Blender, and the first thing we're going to do is, I can get rid of that for now, and let's go to object mode, or I guess technically we need edit mode. First thing we're going to do is select our plane, and yeah, I got a lot of faces going on in there. Anyway, we're going to select our plane, and let's get rid of that image there. With all our vertices selected in edit mode, or all of the mesh in its entirety selected in edit mode, I'm just going to go ahead and hit U, and do a Smart UV project and leave it at its default settings. And instead of breaking each face apart and stacking 40,000 faces on top of each other, all perfectly square and fitting the same image, we get the same nice just grid layout that we have on our original mesh. So there we go. Now it's unwrapped, so what we do in a minute will work. So we can back out of edit mode on that, and we can actually switch that back to sculpt mode for now. Just kind of drag this off to the side. I'll leave that out. Alright, so now we want to take our leaves image, but we want to make it black and white. So let me split my UV image editor down, and we're going to switch this one into a node editor. And, oh, I guess I should have left you on object mode. With our plane selected, I'm just going to give it a new material. And we are going to use an image texture. So under texture, grab yourself your image texture and plug that in. And we can switch this to rendered real fast, nice and purple, because we haven't picked an image yet. And then because it's an image texture, we're going to have to give it some coordinates. So we grab our texture coordinate node, and because we UV unwrapped the image, we're going to use the UV coordinates. And just in case we want a little more control over our image as it appears, I'll throw a mapping node in there. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Now let's grab our image. And it's in there, it's leaves. So there's our image as it's appearing on our tile. And because it was an alpha masked image, it didn't actually have a background. We get this nice default black background, which for our purpose of the black equals 0 strength, white equals 1 strength is perfect. So just automatically, even if it was an alpha masked image, it imports in a fashion onto this plane that works beautifully for our needs for this particular task. Now we want it to be black and white. And that's as simple as adding a single node. So we open up our node add options, go into converter, and we want the RGB to BW, our red, green, blue to black, white. And bam, now it's black and white. Now, mind you, it's more of a gray and white, and I kind of want to do something about that. So I'm just going to drop one more converter node in, and I'm going to drop a color ramp in, and leave it with its default of black and white settings since I want a black and white image. Now, as I drag this white slider side closer to the black slider side, there's less option for the gray and black in the image, and we can get it very, very black and white. Now, I'm not actually going to go anywhere near that far. I'm going to go to about there. That way I get more of the white color, but I can still keep some of these underneath leaves a little bit darker, because that again is going to have an effect on the strength at which it lifts that up or sinks it down into our mesh. And I just kind of like that strength to be a little varied, add a bit of variable depth to our mask. Other than that though, that's done. Now what we have to do is be able to copy that to a new image. So let's get back to our UV image editor, and let's create that new image that we want to copy this to. So just go ahead and click New. And this image has quite a bit of detail, so I'm going to go ahead and go pretty big with the size of my image. We'll go 4096 by 4096. And nothing happened. Let's try that again. 4096 by 4096. That's better. And its color doesn't actually matter because it is going to get replaced with this image here. So I'll just leave it at its black and hit OK. So now we have a 4096 by 4096 texture image that is going to be the black-white version of what started as our green leaf. Now all we have to do is bake that image, which is really quite simple. We're going to grab this image texture node and make a copy of it. And then just drop it down here. We don't have to plug it into anything. Nothing at all needs to be hooked up to it. And what we're going to do is we're going to click the X to remove the image it had in it. And then open it up. And actually, you know what? I want to give this a name. So we're going to just call this one Leaf Mask. No, not Masky, just Leaf Mask. Alright, so this lonely image texture node we have here, we're going to give it that Leaf Mask texture. Now over here, if I take it off of rendered, I want to make sure that I have my plane and only my plane selected. It's the only object in the scene, so lucky for me. But yeah, if you got a really full scene, make sure that the only thing you have selected is that which has the image on it you are wanting. Because basically what we are going to do is we are going to take the image that is on this plane and save it to the image that is currently held inside of this node right here, which is our leaf mask, currently just a default black image. So again, with our plane selected, and with this lonely node selected, the only node in here I have selected, and again, it's not hooked to anything, it's just there to be there. With both my plane and that node selected, we'll come over here to our properties window, and under the renders category, we'll scroll all the way to the bottom and open up bake. Scroll down so we can see that. And then one more time just to make sure. Yep, that's the only thing. That's the only thing. Those are the only things I have selected. I'm going to bake it. And this shouldn't take too long at all. Maybe a little longer than I want it to because the original image is on a thumbnail drive. Yeah, this went way faster on my laptop, and the computer I'm on right now is a monster compared to my laptop. Anyhow, we have our little progress bar up here that we can keep an eye on, and all it is doing is taking the image that is on this plane and saving it to this image location. So when this hits 100%, we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and pause it while we wait. Alright, we're back, and she is just finishing up. And there it goes. Poof, the image has appeared in our UV image editor where our original image was. We now have our leaf mask. All we have to do now is save that, and we'll just save it as the image, and on my desktop with the other one, why not? And now if we come back over to here, actually before we go back over to there, now that we have our leaf mask saved, we need to make it into a brush mask. So in the Properties window under the Textures tab, select that brush mask option, select New, and then out of this drop down, not that drop down, this drop down, we have our leaf mask. Now I can full screen this over here, bring you back up, go into Sculpt, and with that brush I can put this mask on it. And what do we set to? View pane. I'm going to go ahead and set this to tiled. And then just, whoa, just reduce the strength a whole bunch is what I'm going to do. All the way down to like 0.5. There, close enough. And there we have it. There is our leaf pattern illustrated as the mask on a sculpting brush. Real handy for like doing dead leaves on the ground to look super realistic or something like that as part of a nature trail scene or something, you know, or in a game, who knows, however you choose to use that. But there you go, that's how to create your own customized sculpting brushes, and basically apply a mask to your sculpting brush on any of these sculpting brushes and do it all 100% within Blender, or if you have images that you'd like to use as sculpting brushes, how to make them a black-white image or easier to use as a brush mask from within Blender. That way you don't have to worry about any other image editing software or anything like that. So there you guys go. I hope you found the tutorial useful. If there's anything else you'd like me to cover or whatnot, go ahead and just throw a comment down in the comment section. And until next time, just keep enjoying creating the things that you want to make. Laters, y'all.